Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight in today with a really intriguing Premier League match, Brentford versus Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
This was match week 37, back on Sunday, May 18th, 2025, a proper West London derby.
Absolutely. And we've got quite a bit to dig into here. The official match report, some interesting commentary on the significance, plus the stats behind it all.
Exactly. And our goal is really to unpack this one. It wasn't just about bragging rights, although that was definitely part of it. European places were genuinely on the line.
Yeah, that always adds another layer, doesn't it? The tension must have been, well, pretty high.
Mm.
And looking at these different sources, it lets us see not just what happened, but maybe how different people saw it.
Okay, so the basics first. It was at Brentford's ground, the Gtech Community Stadium. Crowd was 17,136.
Decent crowd?
Yeah. Referee Jared Gillette was in the middle, usual team around him, assistants, VAR, the lot. And the final score, Fulham took it, 3-2 away from home.
Right, 3-2. So goals, key moments.
Yeah.
That's where the story really unfolds, I guess. What jumped out at you from the reports?
Well, Fulham drew first blood. About 16 minutes in, Raul Jimenez with a header, Adama Traore providing the assist down the wing.
Okay.
But the interesting thing, the match report actually mentions the slight delay, a pause from the away fans before they celebrated.
Oh, that is interesting. What do you make of that? Waiting for VAR, maybe? Or if stunned silence for a second?
Could be either, couldn't it? Maybe checking for an offside flag, like
Yeah,
you say?
right.
Or maybe it just came slightly against the run of play at that exact moment. Hard to know without being there, but it's a cool detail.
It really is. It reminds you how, raw the emotion is in the stands. Different from just watching a replay.
Totally. Anyway, Brentford didn't hang about feeling sorry for themselves. 6 minutes later, 22nd minute, Bryan Mbeumo scores.
Quick response.
Yeah, assisted by Yoane Wissa. And this one came apparently straight after Traore lost the ball somewhere he shouldn't have, so a bit of a turnaround for him personally.
Those moments. Lose it in a bad spot, and boom, punished.
Yeah.
That's the Premier League for you. Shows Brentford were switched on, ready to pounce.
And then, talk about switched on moments, Mbeumo gets a massive chance to put Brentford ahead. Penalty. Kevin Shade fouled by Joachim Andersen.
Right. Big opportunity.
Bernd Leno saves it. Great stop.
Mm-hmm.
And the commentary pointed out this was Mbeumo's first penalty miss in the Premier League for Brentford. Ever.
Wow. First miss. That adds some drama. Does that play on your mind as a player, and for the team, too?
Oh, definitely. A miss like that, it can really knock the wind out of your sails. Or sometimes it fires you up even more. But having that perfect record gone. Tough one for Mbeumo.
For sure. A test of character.
Well, Brentford did manage to shake it off before the break. They got their noses in front. 43rd minute, long throw from Michael Keown.
The long throw tactic.
Flicked on by Christian Nørgaard, and somehow it squirmed through Leno's hands. It was right there, apparently, to just nudge it over the line. Bit of a gift, maybe.
Leno won't enjoy watching that one back, I imagine. But fair play to Telesessa for following it in. It shows how effective those set pieces, even throws, can be. Needs the flick on, needs the anticipation.
So 2-1 Brentford at halftime. Looking pretty good for them at that point.
You'd think so. Control of the game, Derby lead.
But the second half, Fulham came back strong. Marco Silva made changes. Tom Cairney, off the bench, scores the equalizer. 68th minute.
Cairney, yeah. Experienced head in midfield.
Came from a Kenny Tech cross, took a deflection apparently, so a bit of luck involved maybe, but the substitutions were key.
Absolutely key. Bringing Cairney on changes the dynamic, gives them that bit more control. And yeah, deflections happen, but you still got to be in the right place, haven't you? He was.
And then, barely time to breathe, 2 minutes later, Fulham are ahead. Another substitute, Harry Wilson.
Wilson, of course. He loves a goal against Brentford, doesn't he?
Seems like it. Scored twice against them earlier in the season, too. This one, a strike from about 25 yards out. Traore got the assist again, redeeming himself, perhaps.
What a turnaround. And Wilson, some players just have that thing against certain teams. Maybe the style suits them. Maybe it's psychological. The Fulham fans must have gone wild.
Oh, yeah. The report mentioned them chanting his name. Proper derby hero stuff for them.
You bet. Those moments are what fans live for in these games.
Brentford almost nicked a draw late on. Nørgaard again, with a header this time, but Leno made the save.
Right, so Leno redeems himself a bit there, too, after the earlier goal. Made a big stop at the end, and the penalty save earlier. Crucial contributions, despite the mistake. Shows good mentality.
Definitely. Now, it wasn't just goals. Being a derby, things got a bit feisty. Yellow cards flying about.
Expected, really.
Let's see. Tet for Fulham, then Wissa, Vandenberg, Nergard, Loose Potter for Brentford, Smith Rowe and Anderson for Fulham, and even Leno got one right near the end.
Yeah, that sounds about right for a derby with European hopes on the line. Passion, commitment. Sometimes it boils over a bit. Tactical fouls, too, probably.
And we mentioned Fulham's subs being effective, but both managers were ringing the changes, trying to influence things.
Which is exactly what you expect. The report calls Silva's subs Cairney and Wilson a masterstroke. And, well, hard to argue when they both score, right?
Yeah, pretty clear impact.
You wondered about Thomas Frank on the other side, though. Must have been hugely frustrating. You're 2-1 up at home in a derby, looking good. Then it slips away. Maybe felt his changes didn't quite click in the same way.
Yeah, tough one for Brentford. So let's look at the bigger picture of the consequences. For Fulham, massive win puts them right in the mix for 8th, maybe Europe, depending on cups and things.
And a club record points total, too. 54 points. That's a fantastic season for them, really. Sets them up nicely for that final game, even if it is Man City. Huge confidence boost.
Definitely. But for Brentford, it's the opposite story, isn't it? Big dent in their European hopes. They stayed 8th for the moment, but vulnerable. Makes their final game, whoever it was against, much more nervy.
Exactly. The contrast in emotions after that final whistle must have been stark. Elation for Fulham, proper disappointment for the Bees, especially letting that lead go in a derby.
Okay, let's touch on a few individuals. Harry Wilson, clearly the headline grabber for Fulham again.
The derby hero, as you said. Again.
Brian Mbeumo for Brentford. What a roller coaster for him. Scores, then misses that crucial penalty. And there was talk about him maybe moving on. Adds another layer if this was maybe his last home game.
Yeah, that's football summed up sometimes, isn't it? The highest high, the lowest low, all in one game. Great season for him overall, though, despite the miss. That transfer speculation just adds to the narrative.
And Ewan Wissa, too, always looked dangerous for Brentford. Scored their second, and apparently that put him level with Mbeumo on 19 Premier League goals for the season. Shows how vital they both were.
That's impressive. Having two players contributing that heavily is huge. That friendly competition probably pushed them both on as well.
We already mentioned Leno Kise's, particularly the penalty and the late Nergard header, despite the error for Wissa's goal.
Yeah, a mixed bag, but ultimately match-win contributions in there.
And Adama Traore, bit of everything from him too. Assist for the first, gave the ball away for Brentford's equalizer, then another assist for the winner.
He's that kind of player, isn't he? Unpredictable. Can win you a game with a moment of brilliance, but there's always that slight risk attached. Managers weigh that up.
So, wrapping this up, a really breathless West London derby. 5 goals, Fulham comeback, massive impact on the European race for both teams.
Shaped hugely by those substitutions from Marco Silva.
And individual moments standing out, Wilson's winner, the Mbeumo's penalty miss, Leno's saves, just packed with incident.
It really was. Highlights those fine margins, doesn't it? How one moment, one save, one finish can completely change the game, the mood, maybe even the season's outcome.
It certainly does. Which leads us to a final thought for you listening. When you get a game like this, full of momentum swings, individual brilliance, crucial errors, what does it really tell us about why we find this sport so compelling? Is it purely that unpredictability? Or maybe thinking about the match reports, the commentary, the fan reactions. How much does the story of the game depend on who's telling it and which moments they choose to focus on?
Something to chew on there? It's rarely just one simple narrative, is it?
Definitely not. Okay, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for tuning in.